We're talking about surgery to smile. We basically have discussed this topic before, not too long ago, where we're discussing the cleft palate or cleft lip, or basically you saw pictures of it, and we'll be showing some videos of that as well, where people are born with some form of deformity and their lips don't form fully as they should, and actually do have this cleft or rift of a kind in their mouth. Sometimes it goes all the way down to their palate, and open your mouth is all the way down there. It has feeding problems, as we were told or taught the last time around. It may present with feeding problems. Babies may have a difficulty actually suckling on their mother's breast, and may have all manner of problems arising therefrom. But again, stigmatization is something that seems to go with it, despite all the education we've been doing. And so the hand that can correct it, because we have been told that it can't be corrected, really is at work again. And that's the reason why surgery is being performed for these children. We're told that largely, sometimes it may cost about £200 or so. I don't know what the exchange rate is today, but £200 in Ghana cedis will be no less than 600 Ghana cedis. And that's quite a bit for many of the people who suffer from these conditions. And that is the situation. So that's what we're trying to move away from as we deal with this matter. And of course, surgery to smile, as you know, Operation Smile, really stepping in to deal with the matter and help us. But tonight we also go back into it. Let's see how much progress has been made. Why is this whole venture back in here for Ghana? What step has been taken? What else for other people who can benefit from it? Which clinics and all of that? What's the dates and timeline that we can deal with this? And then for those of you who are not sure what it is, as I said, you will see some videos of it as we move on. In the studio with us tonight, on my immediate left, Kia Guarino is Programs Manager, Africa, Operation Smile. It's good to have you back on the show.
Thanks, Gadu.
And in the middle is Dr. Papa Poplampo. He's the dental surgeon at Kolebu Teaching Hospital. It's good to have you, Papa.
Thank you.
Let me say Doc.
Thank you. Papa is okay with me.
And from the far end of the table, a beauty, Miss Universe Ghana 2011, Miss Yaira Nego. It's good to have you on the show as well.
Thank you.
Let's begin with you, Kia. Last time we had a discussion some months ago. You basically told us what Operation Smile was doing in Ghana, and we were quite happy to hear what it is that you had to say. What brings you back? Did you leave? And if you did, what brings you back? And what's a new story?
Sure. We did leave, but we are back. This past week, a small volunteer team of about 9 volunteers traveled to 5 different regions around Ghana to do free follow-up care for the patients that we provided surgery for in December. So Dr. Puplampu was one of the volunteers that did this traveling, but one of the main things we wanted to do is make sure that all of the surgeries we did provide in December were healing properly, and that we provided the continuous care that we promised to do.
Okay.
I'm also here because we are coming back in July for another large-scale surgical program. So we do always want to continue helping others and continuing to provide the life-changing surgery that we did in December. So that's also why we're here.
So what have you found since you've been back?
We have been very, very pleased with the results of the surgery. We were able to see about 1/3 of the patients that came in December, which is actually quite a lot considering it's hard to get people to return after their surgeries are looking good. And we were able to follow a couple of patients to their homes and their villages, and it's amazing how much their lives have changed in just 6 months, and it's always a pretty beautiful thing to see.
Great. So, Doc, really, what's the nature of your involvement in this?
Yes, I'm a dental surgeon, and normally we say that if you have a cleft lip or palate, I already said, eating and things becomes a problem.
Right.
And you know that your oral cavity, for instance, has 3 basic functions. Your beauty, which is far-fetched, but that's also very important.
Right.
Your speech, very important. And then ability to eat. You should be able to eat something for you to grow well. So anything that affects this in the oral cavity becomes a serious issue. So once you have that surgery, things that you were not able to do prior to, you are taught, we encourage you to go through it and all that. It's not all of them that end up having the surgery, especially with the cleft palates.
Okay.
Depending on the situation. The Operation Smile has priorities. If you want to treat children first, before we go to adults.
Okay.
So those of them that might not be able to have the surgery with cleft palate, you end up giving them what we call obturator.
Okay.
Something to cover the palate so that food prevents food and water going through the nostrils and coming up, so that these people could be able to eat normally until it gets to their turn. When the priorities get to them, then they can have surgeries too. And that is what I'm involved basically in.
I have a quick follow-up for you.
Yes.
So, do we perform these surgeries in Ghana, and at what cost?
We do. The cost, I can't really say it offhand, but we perform these surgeries in Ghana. But it's been like a club, and this club, we have a head and neck club, that actually deals with the cleft lip and palate surgeries. But you know, these surgeries goes with cost, like you rightly said. But Operation Smile is unique because they do this for free as a benevolence. So therefore, for those who cannot afford, which you know that about more than half of our people might not be able to afford, when issues comes like this, it's a welcoming news for them. And we are able to bring them on board so that they can have it done, especially our people in the rural areas who are not close to the cities.
Okay. Yaira, Miss Universe Ghana, many would expect that you'll be taking some really dainty steps, so to speak, and waving at us, you know, like that, and smiling at us and all that. What makes you a part of this initiative?
Well, this initiative is actually a Miss Universe initiative, and all of us title holders in our respective countries tag along whenever Operation Smile is here to kind of help bring awareness to the organization.
Okay. So what do you do? How do you go about doing that?
Well, basically, I try to partner with other organizations in town to spread awareness that they are here and they are performing this surgery for free so that this issue can be taken care of for these children.
Okay, great. Let me come back to you, Kia, and ask you. So, really, have you found, what is the result? What was it that makes you come back and say that in July it is taking off again? What, is it based on the interest? Is it based on the fact that the last time around you are not able to meet all needs? Or what? What is that one single thing that has brought you back?
I don't know if I could say one single thing. I think it's a combination of everything that you just mentioned. Like Papa mentioned, there is an existing cleft infrastructure here, and they do wonderful work. Dr. Mpomek Horlebu, Dr. Donkor up in Kumasi. But one thing we did see last time is that there are a number of adults that showed up. And typically when we see adults with unrepaired cleft lips, it means that there's a backlog of patients that have not received the surgery for any number of reasons. Lack of affordability, lack of access, lack of information about the fact that it can be fixed. And that's sort of an inspiring factor to come back and find the rest of those patients. So we know they're out there. Also, we got a lot of support from the community, and that's always a big encouragement. And when we do see that kind of support and interest, we like to respond and come back.
Great. Papa, is this more spread in some regions in Ghana than others?
Definitely, yes. It's more spread in some regions. And I could say that it's because, too, that in the, like if you say Greater Accra, Ashanti regions, because they are closer to teaching hospitals and people give birth at the hospitals. Once you see this, they quickly refer them to areas where they can be actually be seen and treated. But when you go to the northern region, Brong-Ahafo, the northern part of Brong-Ahafo, northern region, Upper East, Upper West, the stigma and the way people believe in it. You know, our cultural values tell people various things happen to you. And some of these babies, only God knows what they do to some at birth. You know, so some people just rescue them and say that people don't know what it is. They say, oh, these are witches or wizards or whatever they call them. So until this thing started, I'll just jump in to say that one of the young men that have surgery last December, we went to his village and said that he has a new life. And he's just going around the village with anybody that I see that I say, oh, go to Operation Smile, you will be fine. And when we went, people were coming in because these ones serve as testimonies to others for them to come. So they are there, our cultural balances and all that. I don't know whether there is a bit of ignorance too. And those are things that eating us up. So if we step up education, that something can be done. It's not an outcast. You're a human being. Something can be done. You come back to a normal smile. I'm sure people will come out. But definitely some regions have it more. The upper regions, Upper East, Upper West, northern part of Brong-Ahafo have it more than when you come to the Middle Belt and in the South.
And that sets up my next question for Kia, which is that where would you be carrying out these surgeries? Is it in Accra? Because the last time was Ridge Hospital.
Once again, we'll actually be in Ridge Hospital. We typically run our first 2 programs in any country in the capital just because it's easier to access, easier for awareness. And after that, we look at our statistics that we've received. And as Papa mentioned, we're realizing that there's a lot of greater need in the north. And from there, we'll work our next program into those hospitals. So it's just the beginning stages as we set up in any country, and then we respond to where the patients are coming from.
But did you find in your last exercise that people came from up north in these places down to Ridge?
We did.
You
did?
Did?
There was actually quite a big number that turned up from the north, and those stories are some pretty incredible stories. There was a girl, I think I saw you had the report, who was 11 years old, we think. She didn't know her age, and she came alone, all the way from the north.
Wow.
And you know,
she was called
Fusina as well.
Fusina,
exactly,
Right.
Fusina. She's a beautiful girl, and they actually visited another girl up north, Asibi, and her family.
Yes,
she's
Asibi
one
too.
of 10, and she's doing wonderfully in her new role and her new life. But they did it. They came all the way down. So we can only imagine the kind of response if we get to go up north.
Doc, is there a cause? Because that's a question everybody will keep asking at home. Is there something really that causes cleft lip or cleft palate? And so for which reason people can take a step, as it were, to prevent it or avoid it occurring in their children?
We'll say it's multifactorial. You can have just one cause of it. One, somebody can pinpoint straight away, it could be genetic, one with the other. Then it could also be that, you know, the first 3 months of pregnancy, that's when the organs forms. And in these formations, anything that intercepts the organized way these organs form causes disability. Is it medication that you take? It's a good medication, but you might be taking it at the wrong time, because we have medications that pregnant women take because of some of deformities in the organs. And is it a particular chemical that you are prone to, either knowingly or unknowingly? The environment where you live, would there be something in the environment that is causing it, at environmental hazard or that? So the list is very long. The list is very long. So the sharp one that you could just pin on is genetic, because once you have it in the family, it runs down into it. So people have it, others may not have it, but the common cause is genetic oriented, and it runs through families. And that's
Genetic oriented,
yes,
runs through family.
yes,
Is there something that pregnant women, for example, are supposed to do or not to do? Because again, because culture feeds into these things, as you've said. And we've been told on this program severally, depending on the topic that we've discussed, that in certain places, some pregnant women are not even allowed to take some things that their bodies need, like eggs and all that. Because there's a belief that if you take eggs whilst you're pregnant, your child will grow up to become a thief and all of that. Very strange, but happens.
Yes, they do.
Could it be a matter of a lack of certain things? Mothers are supposed to, for example, maybe take iron capsules. They're supposed to take some folic acid and all that, and people don't do these things.
It's possible.
That this may result in...
Because the organs formation is not just one thing. It's a composite of things that later becomes normal, in quote, normal.
Right.
So once you lack any of these things, only God knows whatever could happen to the organs. So those are possibilities. Yes, there are. There are.
Yaira, as you go around and add your weight, so to speak, to the efforts in here, is there a message you carry? What do you say to the people?
I think I mainly just try to educate them more than say anything in particular. I just want, say you don't know anyone that particularly has it, still having the education and spreading that education to other people, just in case they know somebody who does.
Okay.
I also think that it's really important just to reestablish the importance of the fact that if you do know somebody that has it, building their confidence and things like that through it still, and knowing that it's not a disease that you have, it's just a deformity that can be taken care of, that you can live a normal life after the surgery is complete.
Okay. And how does that message go now?
Well, it's okay so far.
It's okay.
I feel like I've done okay so far.
You think you've done okay so far?
Yeah. I guess we'll see in July.
All right, Kia.
She does great.
All right, great. As a matter of fact, the look is of the mouth, and the palate in the mouth is open, or depending on how the serious the situation is. But we are told that it may also affect other parts, other organs. As a matter of fact, it may affect your hearing. Some say it may affect your sense of smell and all of that. How true is that? Is that a connection?
It is true. I'm sure Dr. Bubambo can
I know it's a medical
embellish,
question.
but I can tell you what I know. So when a palate, obviously, it's this part of your face is connected.
Right.
So the tubes to your ears are connected to the palate. So when the palate is open, the pressures are different. And there are liquids that get into the tubes that normally wouldn't be. And so when you close it or when it's open, the pressure's off compared to normally. Also, there's some indicators. Often if there is a palate with no cleft lip, it indicates a problem with the heart and things like that. There's just a lot of associations. Is that right, doctor?
That's correct. Correct.
I'm sure you want to
Yes,
answer
the
that.
head and neck region has various nerves that have cranial nerves that we always say, the head and neck region.
Okay.
And the ear, the nose, the eyes, all of them have a connection to the throat that goes down you.
Wow.
That's why if you drink water and you sneeze, food particles could even come through your nose.
True.
If anything is logging in your nose, you actually bring it down into your mouth and comes. You have a blocked ears, you swallow and it opens up, so they are all connected.
Right.
So if you have the palate serves as the floor for both the nasal cavity and then into the right down to the tubes that goes into the ear. So if you have a split where there's a communication, it means that the resonation of sound becomes hyper. That gives you a nasal. So somebody speaks, and because the sound is not enclosed, it goes through like nasal sounding, and then sometimes it affects their ears. They are not able to hear properly because the ear is so sensitive that if you give something a decibel, that is more than the normal one it should have, it affects it. If it's below 2, it's not able to really assess it and then interpret it by the mind that this is what you have. So we have a lot of patients, about, let me say about 40 to 50%, about half of them have problems with speech, with the sounds and the way they speak, so you won't hear them. Before we have a few, maybe a third of them that may have a combination of both speech and then hearing. So to those people, when we do this, that's why we have on the team a speech therapist. Then we end up with deaf and dumb teachers with sign languages come in. And it's amazing how speech, for those who have speech problems, improve after the surgery, and then they are taught the rudiments of speech, and then they go through. So it takes time. But once the person is determined and they want to do it, the appearance comes immediately after the surgery, and you know that you have been transformed.
Okay.
But these other ones takes time before they come. You cannot just promise somebody, give the person false hope, when I finish, you get it in 1 month or 2. People go 6 months. People improve so much in 3 months. So it depends from one person to another. But yes, effect on speech, and then the ear, and the nose and all that, it's really marked in these patients, especially those with cleft palates. The lips might not have, but the palates
The palate may have
yes,
that.
have that.
So, Kia, as you've come to do a review practically, what do you see that people who have undergone this, who underwent this last year in June, in December, have you found people whose improvements still leave their hopes somewhat shattered? People who, for example, assume that once they did it, as Doc says, it's a massive turnaround, and yet have to struggle with speech, have to struggle with even getting used to eating food, chewing it the normal way to do. Have you found people like that?
For the most part, we actually found most people very excited about their new lives, very, upbeat and positive about their new experience. All the patients that I encountered were just excited, and I could definitely see where you're coming from. But I believe, for the most part, we've really only seen positive cases. There's 1 or 2 in which the surgeries could be improved, and they will come back in July, and we'll make sure that their surgeries are exactly what they need to be. But beyond that extent, mostly people are pretty much just grateful where we are. But Papa's right, we do bring our speech therapist again every 6 months to make sure that that kind of follow-up is continued. And ideally down the line we can have something that's continued 24/7 and something they can really use to improve both of those things.
I realize you want to have.
Yeah, we have a challenge
Right.
in training of our speech therapists and all that.
Right.
They are only designated spread in maybe Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Konfanochi, the specialist schools like New Horizon, and then the deaf and dumb schools, one in Tema, Shaima, and then the one in Equiapin Rangers. So we actually met one of these young women in Bolgatanga who says that, "Doctor, my appearance is fine, but my speech is not coming." And I said, yes, so I have to sit her down and go through and say that. Because up north, there was nobody to take you to the rudiments of speech. So we say that if they need a rise, I actually advise the parents that there will be the need to come and spend some time, either in Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, where we then refer them to ENT department, where the speech therapists and these people are together in there, that they go in it. Or
Ear, nose, and throat.
Ear, nose, and throat. Yes, people then go. Because seriously, in our part of the world, in Ghana, for instance, although we have them, they are not that many. And if you have to have their services, they have to move to the cities and centers where you have teaching hospitals and all that, where these things are available. Even in the cities, somebody's child might not be speaking very well. You ask them, will you go to this book? Sometimes they don't even see the need to go. It's only when they do the effort and begin to see results that they are inclined that, oh, something really can be done. So it's there. And like I said, it's not something that goes away a month, 2 or 3. It varies. Somebody will go within 3 months, beautiful speech and everything come back. Somebody goes a whole year and you're still struggling. But it all depends on how they go.
Yeah, let me ask you before we take our first commercial break. In coming up with all the efforts that you make and the challenges that have been put out by Doc particularly and all, what kind of challenges yourself do you experience? I mean, does it then become difficult for you as you try to inspire, as you try to make people come to terms with these issues? Do you find your own special challenges as well?
I do, and I think the way I overcome them is, again, just referring back to Operation Smile and asking them what they've done in other countries to make it work. And I try to implement those into our program here in Ghana.
Right.
I think that the organization has done such tremendous work throughout the world, and obviously they're very good at it. So I kind of try to follow their blueprint in using that here in Ghana, because at the end of the day, it is their organization, and they are going to be coming back here time and time again, which will help implement that into Ghana more successfully.
We're talking about surgery to smile. Thankfully, Operation Smile is making it possible for people with all these palate problems. But at this stage, I'm sure we also have an insight for you, as we promised, so that those of you who don't really know what we are talking about can have an idea. Or perhaps you know what it is, you don't know what we call it. You only know what to call it in your own language. And so you can get to see the issues that we're talking about palate and all. So whenever that is ready, we'll begin to roll it for you to see what it is that we are talking about. Okay, so there you go. Doc, can you take us through what's happening?
This is a child that have a cleft lip, and they've been prepared and the surgery has been done. They're just putting stitches to put it together. And that's the
Operating theater.
the operating theater, yes, at a Rich Hospital.
Okay.
And then the surgeons and nurses at work. That was the team that we worked with in December last year.
Right.
And then that's the surgeon at
That's
work.
just about 6 months ago.
Yes, 6 months ago in December.
So how many doctors participated in this? Because I can see that as a camera
Yes,
pans.
yes.
As it pans, we see different sects and different groups of doctors.
We have about 60 volunteers that come in total.
6-0.
6-0 from,
Wow.
and that includes all the different
Multinational.
specialties.
All right.
Multinational, all over the world, Ghanaian, Italian, UK, US. So you can see the flags are put up all over
Yeah, I
the
can see
theater.
that. That's a
Dr.
UK
J.
flag.
Rich Hospital.
We run
Please
about
come over.
3 operating tables per theater, which is a lot more than you normally would see in any sort of
Yes.
operating theater. But the idea is exchange. And as you can see the surgery going now, other surgeons like to watch other surgeons. And everybody from around the world has a different technique, a different style. And so a lot of what we do and what we really pride ourselves in is that international exchange of information, that education, and that continuing improvement of cleft surgery worldwide. So
Absolutely.
it may look a little crowded, but it's really organized chaos, and everybody enjoys that sort of exchange and that
Whoa,
interaction.
this one looks like a very serious case.
Yes, because this one has gone right into the nose, affected the septum of the nose. So
Wow.
you bring it and put it together, so at the end of the day, this individual will have a beautiful appearance with a good smile too.
Okay, and I definitely should have warned viewers because really not everybody has the heart to watch these matters. So I must say that the pictures may be quite disturbing to some of you, our viewers. And a warning absolutely should have been put through before you came through. But of course, for those of you who have the heart, many people can't become doctors simply because they can't. Not because they are not able to study what it is they should, but really surgery is a far cry for what many people can't stand or can't take, and that's it. But basically, that's what you see. And this is from 6 months ago at the Rich Hospital, where these surgeries took place. And as we've been told, basically it was a collection of expertise from around the world. And then that is it that we had going up there. So Kia, how many surgeries in all did you conduct 6 months ago?
We did 110 in total in about 4.5 days. You can see a result right there.
Right.
We were able to do about 203 free comprehensive medical examinations.
Okay.
For some of those patients that we were unable to do surgery for last time, they'll be coming back in July. Others we're working on a referral program to take care of more serious cases we weren't able to take care of at the time. But
And
yeah,
all that
110.
was free.
Free, completely free. We provide free transportation from regional hospitals, free lodging, and free meals throughout the program, on top of the free surgery, just to make sure that the patients incur no cost. It's very important to us that we take on that entirely as an organization.
So how much does it cost you per person?
It depends per country. Here it was probably around 750.
Ghana cedis.
Yeah, but we supplement that. That's sort of an estimate because we work on partnerships, community partnerships. So a lot of our costs are offset by in-kind or cash donations by partners throughout Ghana.
Doc, I mean, as I watched one of the little kids, you realize that it was not just the lip. Look at some other one. I mean, the eyes are gone.
Yes.
In that situation, what are you doing in dealing with the palate or dealing with the lip?
Yeah.
What happens to someone's dentition actually was out of place?
Exactly.
How do you get it back
Exactly.
in?
And that is why the dentists are in there. So the moment the surgery is done, the appearance is fine.
Right.
Then it's the duty of the dental surgeon to see that I have to rearrange and put it back so that they can eat and talk
I see.
effectively.
So what about
the
that
follow-ups
little
comes
boy with
them.
that eye?
Yes. The eye then means that multidisciplinary approach has to come in. You need to see the ophthalmologist too.
Okay.
Then you see the plastic surgeons too,
Right.
to make sure that as you're working on the eye, for him to be able to see, the appearance is not also left behind. So that is why the team is made up of multidisciplinary professionals. So
I get it. That makes a lot of sense to us.
Yes, that's how we do that.
I see. Whoa, very touching. I should say.
Yes.
Very, very touching.
Yes.
And
Yes.
how long does the surgery take? Normally.
It depends on the case. And normally between 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, you
can
could
have
do
the
this in
lip.
30
Yes,
minutes?
30
The,
minutes to an
the
hour.
little
The lip.
lips that you saw, about 30,
Yeah,
45 minutes.
45 minutes
The
to an
double
hour
lip
lip.
or the palate,
Yes.
hour to 2
Yeah,
hours.
palate will take about 2 hours.
But they're very quick. It also
Very quick.
depends. Like you said, some cases are more complicated and can take 2.5, 3
When the
hours,
complication
but-
comes in, you realize that you might take more than, but on the average, about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour for the lip, and about 2 hours for the palate.
And then how long does it take to recuperate?
We keep them, every lip surgery we keep in the hospital for an evening. Every palate we keep them overnight for 2 nights.
And they are good to go.
And they're
Yes,
essentially good to go.
Yeah.
They're essentially good to go.
Post-op, you want to make it about 48 hours
Yeah.
for them. So you are sure that at least during that period, you give them the IV medication that go into their blood to
Yes.
keep preventing
We
infections.
call them drip simple.
Exactly.
Then we all understand.
Exactly. Exactly. So that when they go back home and they are having pills or syrups, you know that you are sure that they wouldn't go have an infection. Because after the surgery, taking care of the patient is even more important. Because when something happens and you recover, and then you have the problems of failure. And that is why Operation Smile make it a point that after surgeries, there is always a follow-up to see that what we came to do, did we do it right?
Right.
Or did we just come to cut people up, sorry my word, to
Yeah.
say, and go away?
Right.
No, but you come back to find out that the people we are rendering servicing to, what we want them to have, a smile at a time for everybody, they do have that. And that's why they do a follow-up.
Yaira, could you actually stay through a surgery?
Yeah, I think I could, but I've got a stomach for it.
You have
So I think I could definitely stay through a surgery, and I think too it's sometimes good for those kids to see a happy face right when the
a
surgery
beautiful
is.
face, so to
Yes.
speak.
Well, okay, that too, but
You
but
know,
a happy face I think is something that definitely lets them know that this is a safe procedure and you are in good hands.
Right. So do you intend to participate in July, so to speak? Not, do you intend to be present at the Range Hospital?
Yes, definitely. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to be allowed to be in the surgeries. As you can see, there's a lot going on and there's a lot of protocol and things like that, but I will definitely be in the tent ward working with them.
Well, not everybody in there is supposed to partake in surgery. I've been to the
Yeah.
theater.
Exactly.
You are
I've
welcome.
had my
Anytime.
mask on.
Okay, perfect.
The people who have never been to medical
Yeah.
school.
I think it's a beautiful thing to watch, actually. I love
Just
watching
to
surgery.
be the
I
first
think
man
it's
to see my
amazing.
own baby.
Yes.
I was
Once you
there.
have the heart,
That's
you can
amazing.
always be in there.
I
And
think
it's good.
surgery is beautiful. It's an amazing thing. It's not always one pretty to see, but it's a beautiful thing to watch. So I think definitely will invite you in.
That'll be good. Let's see how it goes. But Doc, we really should be talking about complications, which is also one of the issues. And I'll come back to you, Kia.
Sure.
Basically, for the reason that you say you're coming back in July, I'm sure immediately there are so many people watching who are saying, wow, what will happen in July? How do I get that? I didn't hear about the last one in December. How can I benefit from it and all that?
is good
So we'll
to know.
definitely come there.
Sure,
But let me ask you, Doc, is complications an issue for these matters? I mean, even when surgery has taken place. Because the last time Kia was here, I remember her saying, and I hope she remembers too, because then it becomes my word against her, that there are times when you need to do a follow-up surgery.
Yes.
You know,
Yes,
and
there
all
are.
of that. What causes that? Is it something you anticipate? Do you deliberately say, okay, we'll need to give you 2 or 3 sessions, or that it just doesn't go right sometimes the first time?
Many a time, like Ray said, we are different people with different responses to some of those things. And sometimes you have a beautiful surgery is finished. As the person is healing up, you find that there's an opening, gaping of the wound. And once that happens over a day or 2, you need new surgery in there. And it could also be that as you pull things together, you put that individual, there are things, do's and don'ts, post-op,
All right.
post-operatively.
Right.
Some forget about some of these things. At Ridge Hospital, right after the surgery, we said that just nurture the children, holding them. This mother put the child at the back. And as the child begins to cry, because when you're getting out of anesthesia and the pain comes, hit them up there and the stitches got open. So that child, for instance, you cannot immediately go and put them back together. No, you have to just take care of the wound, let it heal, and you have to do a resurgery.
Wow.
Because you want to put surfaces together that will heal, we call it primary intervention, so that they can heal at first sight, so that the scar that appears will be reduced. Because we are not just repairing for function, we're also repairing for beauty. And this comes and complement each other. So yes, the surgery, the complications are there, but I just bet to say that with Operation Smile, we tend to reduce these complications a lot because we follow the protocols that we follow and all that. We tend to reduce them. But nevertheless, we still have some that comes with this where we do the follow-ups and do corrective surgeries for them.
Has medical science advanced to the stage where we can actually know in utero, so to speak, that this is the kind of baby that's going to be born? Or the scanning, because it's black and white most of the time, and we just see the cake and we see the movement, you are not able to tell what's happening?
I think it's possible. It's possible because after the second trimester, getting to the third, in the third trimester, a lot of things can be determined in there.
Okay.
But the baby is already formed.
All right.
They are maturing some of the latter side of it and use. So if you have some of these things, it's possible to determine some of these things in there.
Does it make any difference, or you still have to wait for delivery?
You still have to wait for delivery because if the face, the mouth, and the head forms within the first trimester,
Right.
it's formed already with these ones. So corrective measures will come in at the time because there are stages. At every stage, something happens. And if you miss that, then it means that you miss the corrective because God is so much of a, well, that's an architect, or that's an in order, and everything forms in order. But I believe in miracles too.
Okay.
Maybe people might prove everything that may not happen. I believe in that. Miracles do happen. But essentially, once that happens, unless the baby is born, and then you should be able to do some corrective measures and all that.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it a condition that occurs only at birth, only when you are born?
Yes. You see it only when you are born.
Only?
Yes.
Not, it cannot be developed?
No, it doesn't get developed. You are born with it. It doesn't develop.
So once you are born and you don't have it, you never get it.
if you want to say it is developed, then that must be some accident or something
Okay.
that actually
Yeah.
slashed it out for you. But
Okay.
this classical cleft lip and palate, you are born with it.
The classical one, you
Yes.
are born with it. I see. Kia, I also said many people are watching at this stage and saying, well, probably we heard about it last year or we didn't. If we did, we couldn't participate or take advantage of it. What should they do?
And as we've said before, anybody who knows anyone with a cleft lip or a cleft palate should, by all means, get them to Ridge Hospital on July 27th. So July 27th and July 28th, we'll be doing our evaluations and our examinations, and from there we'll determine which patients can receive surgery that next week. So if you know anyone, please bring them on July 27th, and we will provide housing and food for the remainder of the program once selected for surgery. So please bring them for any sort of evaluation. And if you guys have any questions in the meantime, you can call the number 0302 665 651, and that's the Ministry of Health.
Repeat that, because I'm sure at some point we can put it up on the screen.
Sure, it's 0302 665 651.
0302 665 651. That goes to the Ministry of Health.
Yes.
So anybody can call it with their issue,
Yes.
with their reports, what they have, and ask how they can participate in that and all of that. Do people need to book an appointment, or they can just carry their knapsack and
Carry
walk
their
down?
knapsack. Any way you can come, anytime. Please come July 27th, July 28th. It doesn't matter, just come on by. And we promise to give everyone a free examination regardless, and if chosen for surgery, you will be scheduled over the next week and the surgery will be provided. And it truly is life-changing, so it's worth it. Just
Not
anybody.
everybody who comes will get to have surgery done.
Unfortunately, that is
that's
true.
true.
There are a number of reasons for that. Primarily, as Papa alluded to earlier, we have a priority system. Our first priority is the primary lip.
Okay.
It's a very simple surgery to fix. It's very effective.
Right.
And the second priority is palates. But we prioritize the younger palates because, again, as Papa alluded to, the speech and the true improvements happen in a younger age. But beyond that, we can still see them and provide obturators, which Papa makes, which is basically an acrylic roof of the mouth. So either way, anyone should come in. And those are sort of how we prioritize surgery. We also see patients who have way more complicated facial deformities than we're able to do at the time. And while they're able to come and get an evaluation, and we can often do referrals, we can't do those sorts of surgeries in such a short period of time. They require a lot more follow-up. And again, if a patient is sick, that would be the other reason why we can't do
You
this surgery.
cannot do that. It's not fair on Yaira because I'm going to ask her a controversial question. Somehow, the controversy also has to do with this issue. And I'm told that in some countries, actually, people think that when you're able to determine this in utero, as we say, and before you're born, perhaps it should be basis for an abortion. And it's a debate in the world. Some countries say no, and I don't see Ghana ever say acceding to that viewpoint. But really, what do you make of that?
I think it's unfortunate, and I think it goes back to lack of education. I think that if you know that this, deformity can be fixed with your child, then you would still have them. But not knowing that, I think, is what makes people make these uneducated decisions and therefore terminate a life. And I don't agree with that at all.
You don't agree with that at all? Smile is making it possible for you to smile your cleft away, so to speak, and basically looking at that. But Doc, you're also making an additional point during the break, and I think you should bring it back out to our viewers on how they can also access the opportunities available to them in July.
We're just basically saying that the numbers Kia put out is the number for the national registration. But we've gone around all regional hospitals in this country, and then if any doctor or persons find out of this, when you go to the nearest hospital near you, then they can just get you to the regional hospitals, where you have somebody there, especially the dental surgeons there have dignity to register these people that are going to come. And once we come that, let's say in about second week in July, for instance, we are back in there, we go around to collect data and know how many people, let's say in Tamale, we have 40 people, then you can actually get a bus to take all of them to Accra. So that if we have to combine a few regions, for now, every regional hospital is a center where we provide a vehicle that brings people down to Accra. So that would help them. Otherwise, you call that and register. We know where you are. We get a contact. If you are alone and you cannot even get to these places, you can actually come to Ridge Hospital. They pay you your TNT out.
So what we normally do, we work with the Ministry of Health and other partners, and the Ministry of Health has agreed, as last year, to provide buses. Right now they are waiting to sort of see the numbers, as Papa's talking about, to determine exactly where the buses come from, but typically what they'll do is run 2 regions per bus. And so once that information is available to us about the time and date, we'll provide it out, hopefully through you guys, through other media outlets, and through partners to make sure that patients are fully aware of when they can get that free transportation down to Accra.
Great. That's for you to be aware. Let me ask you, Yaira, to perhaps speak to those who are watching and who will benefit from what efforts that you bring to the table, and say that, how do we address the issue of stigma, which is based largely also on culture? What do you say to people like that? Because as Doc said earlier in the program, people may do all manner of things to these babies. You are told that in some parts of this country, without particularly mentioning it, because I don't want to set anybody apart and all that, for other reasons, not for palliative, people may even kill their children. And the community sometimes actually participates in this. They may actually have somebody whose role it is to take on these babies and say a final goodbye to them, and you don't know what happens. He takes care of them. And this may be problems for us. As you're saying, as we're all saying, this may be the finest of people who develop to be whatever they can be, simply because of a simple procedure which can change their lives. What do you say to these people who are engaging in these inhuman practices?
Well, something that the Miss Universe Ghana organization, what we're trying to do is implement things on a grassroots level. And we're trying to educate people through churches, schools, all that kind of thing, so that they know that this problem can be fixed. But something that I think I would really say to the people of Ghana is, if you're not sure what something is, get educated on it. There are tons of internet cafes around the country. There are schools and ministries that you can talk to about things that you're not quite sure about. And I think that it always is going to boil back down to educating our people about things that we're not sure about and trying to implement those things back into the grassroots level.
Okay, great. We have 3 messages coming in now. Nana Yawo Champon says, yes, we need more adult education. Okay, right. He thinks that because at the end of the day, it's adults who take the decision for the children, and it is the adults need to be educated on this matter. Arthur Kwejo Daniel also says adult education should be encouraged. Okay, one-liners today we're getting. Shehu Dauda in Nigeria says, what a lovely contribution to human life. Wishing you success. That's Shehu Dauda.
That's nice.
That's very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And you know that we are live, we're streaming live around the world on this program right now, and that's how come Shehu is able to watch us from Nigeria and to send us this message. But really, it truly is a lovely contribution to human life, and he wishes you success. Perhaps he's asking when you're coming to Nigeria. Are you already there?
Not yet. There are a number of countries around Africa that we are hoping to start our programs in the next couple of years. So not yet, but we'll keep you posted.
Okay, all right. Papa, but really, this adult education thing, and to add to what Yaira said, which I think is a very profound statement she made, to deal with the stigmatization that we see and all of that, it will not happen overnight, as a matter of fact. But really, what are the steps that we need to be taking at this time?
Essentially, if we start by educating from primary school, tell them that, oh, when you have people who are born with these deformities, it can be fixed. So the children, first in the curriculum, teachers will play a big role in there. Then we get down to our hospitals for our pregnant mothers to educate them that this is not a disease condition that can, or a condition that cannot be treated. It can be treated. Then opinion leaders will take it out as projects to say that if you are in an endemic area where this is there, that is where you push your education more. Because in the cities now, it's not a big deal anymore, because once the child is born with that, quickly refer to plastics. Once about a month, 2 or 3, once it comes to surgery, they do surgery. By the time the child walks, you don't see anything like that on the child. But it's those in the remote areas and all that that have the biggest of these problems. So we've started with Operation Smile, posters all around the country. You go to remotest place, you have a poster in there telling them something can be done. We just follow up with the education, and I'm sure that should be well. From radio stations, even in the north, upper east, upper west, and northern region, we were on radio stations talking to them about it. And a few of the patients that came actually heard from a radio that something can be done. So maybe that's the way to go to start it.
And another thing that Operation Smile does, which we are working on starting in Ghana as well, is student programs. We run student programs all over the world, and every year we have a leadership conference of about 500 international students. And the idea of the student clubs is just that. The education from a young age, and the idea of instilling leadership and philanthropy and entrepreneurship, and the education that cleft lip and palate is a common and correctable deformity. So again, the youth is actually another way that we utilize that awareness campaign, as well as the other items that.
And I want to add that education is key, because I was in Madagascar in last year that was in August, and the mother, the father, both have clefts, and they brought in the child. They don't want surgery, they want the child to have surgery. So you can see it's amazing. The future of the child is at stake for them. And that is what they think, that they have led their lives. Although something could done, we have to convince them on the next trip visit to make sure that can be. But he had a surgery for the child. So education is a powerful tool. Once people know that there is something in there for them and they can see it, I'm sure we can be able to turn it around.
Does it kill?
It might not be the cause, but it might die of its consequences. But if you don't have a good oral care, because oral health is part of general health.
Right.
And if you are not able to eat well, you are not able to talk from the environment what goes on, and you are being actually guilty, you don't have friends, and nobody wants you and all that, that alone can emanate to other things. People might cause suicide with that one. Yes, I know that might happen. And if you are not malnutrition and all that will come in, and that may kill you with even a set of disease conditions. So maybe not directly, but it might be other things that comes in, and that will kill you because of the stigma attached to it.
I see. Do we, in a statistically challenged country like Ghana, I don't know if you're able to give me the number of cases per birth, per 1,000 live births, because
that I cannot say offhand.
About one in 750 is the statistical average for.
That's an international statistic
for Africa.
Oh, for Africa.
It's 1 in 750, and we actually usually say about 1 in 10 will die before the age of 1 because of the things that Papa referred to. About 1 in 750 for Africa, 1 in 1,000 globally on average. So it kind of depends on where you are. But 1 in 750 for here.
1 in 750. Papa, but is it okay?
I was saying that we can collect the data from other clubs that have actually done this over, but then maybe in this program, when that comes, we should be able to have an effective thing for Ghana. We have about 3-4 different organizations doing this in Ghana.
Okay. Is it ever too late for somebody to have surgery?
I've learned not to say never in a lot of situations, because somebody will be as young as 10 years old and it becomes a little challenge and impossible to do. Somebody could be as old as 50 and can still have a beautiful smile back. Okay.
And the reason for my question really is because you said it relates to many other functions of a person. I'm wondering if a person at 50 could ever begin to learn how to speak.
Yes, it's a big challenge. And like she rightly said, the younger, the better the preempt results that comes. But it's not impossible for that older person to also learn how to speak. Because it's all boiled down to efforts.
Yeah,
And that
independent.
innermost thing, I want it done.
Yeah.
That possibility in
Right.
people is very, very, very important. It's like even healing after surgery, or you hit your leg against it and that's how it heals. That innermost zeal that this must not be my portion, that alone is enough to let you turn around.
Great.
So it's possible.
Yeah, I'll take your view on that because I realize you're actually aiding Papa.
Yes.
No, really, I think it always boils
Yes.
back down to that as someone's own independent nature to want to succeed at something. And I think that that's really what he's trying to say is that everybody, if they have the drive and the determination to do something in their life, they will do it, whether it's dealing with cleft palates or something else in your life.
So you may deal with it that way. This question should go back to Papa. Some will say it's the curse of the gods.
That is not the issue of culture. You know, culture is a powerful thing. Culture is very powerful. And you have to have a complete mindset to tell yourself that, no, something can be done. It's a powerful thing because a lot of the culture things that we have, you don't need to have the answers. It's only the condition. And believe it or not, that is what it's been there for all this while. If young people like us today want to find out why it's like that, then you might be a devil incarnate of a sort. Religion is trying to turn some of those things and making it favorable for our existence. But still, those questions are still there. So, yes, people are stigmatized with all sorts of things. But if you seek for knowledge, and as a Christian, I'll say that there's nothing impossible for God. So if you have it and you seek the knowledge in it, you should be able to have a headway on it.
A typical example of how science and religion can work together.
Can work together.
Because you know that a lot of the time,
Yes,
when
yes.
people
It's very
advanced
powerful.
scientific understanding of phenomena,
yes.
they tend to think that
Because I was going to add that there was somebody that, one of the patients that was actually brought, and they said that from their village, knife doesn't touch their skin.
okay, there you
So
go.
the moment you put knife to their skin, they're going to die. So when you explain to those people, and in surgery, once the patient says no, you don't force them. So they go back, you need to go and convince them and all that. So the woman says no. And once the woman says no, nobody can force the woman up. So that is it.
Wow.
Yes, that is it.
So she went back.
No, she went back. Yes, she went back. She won't do it. She started by saying, I have to inform my husband. I have to inform my family. Okay, now my some paternal auntie that I need to go and talk to. So I realized that it's threatening. So you go think about it. We are coming back next year. So when we came this year, I went back to the house in Boga and said, look, we are coming in July. Think about it. We are coming to pick you. So, well, she will still be thinking about it.
She will
So
still.
those people, you don't force them. You don't force them.
Interesting. We have just a
Yes.
few minutes or so,
Yes.
just about 4 minutes or so to run out to the studio. So I basically should be taking final words from you before we go. But I'll begin with the area of the far end of the table. So putting everything together, really, what will be your final words to those who are watching us? Interestingly, Multi-TV goes really far in Ghana and beyond. People up north, where you say that it's most endemic, are watching you tonight. And they're happy to see that you are also going to give them a beautiful smile, as you said, in all of this. But you must have a message for them. What's that message?
That Operation Smile is definitely an organization that's here to do what they say that they're going to do, and they're going to follow up and stay with you through the whole thing. And that's why I'm a part of it. And so if you have any questions about it, go to their website, call the number that she gave earlier, and get the information. And if you're not sure, still come to Accra in July and just see if it's something that works for you or if it's not something that's for you.
Great. What will be your final words, Kia?
Just, that's a beautiful way to put it. And we do deliver on what we promise. We're here to help. We cannot thank our partners enough. World Vision, Lions Club, LDS, KPMG, MTN, all of our partners have really come together to support this program. And again, please bring anyone you know to Accra, to Ridge Hospital on July 27th, July 28th, and we'll give them a free examination, and hopefully we'll give them free surgery.
Great, Papa.
Yes.
You should have some words for us.
Just
as
have
well.
to say that where there is a will, there is a way. So people, all opinion leaders, teachers and all that, if you see a child with this, something can be done, bring them to us. I must quickly say that we also need volunteers in Ghana. We also, Operation Smile has come to stay in Ghana, and we are wishing to have a local theme that could go. So we have volunteer of professionals like plastic surgeons, anesthetists, pediatric intensivists, and then we have the OR nurses, the operating room nurses, theater nurses, recovery room nurses, and all the layers that we have. So to make a surgery complete, we have them. And we have dental surgeons, not to forget, speech therapists, and all that. And in fact, you need a lot of dedication and commitment, but you won't regret it. The reward is when you see those children smile back and say, hey, look at the doctor who saw me. And you feel like it was you, but it was God. So that is it.
Interesting. We should be right now, but I think we still have a couple of minutes or so. There should be a further point, at least, to develop of a sort. What happens, Kia, after July? Do you hope to be doing this in cycles of 6 months going forward? What's the plan?
I'm glad you asked me that. Actually, it's a great opportunity to talk about it. Papa made a great call for volunteers. Our goal as Operation Smile is to eventually create foundations in every country that we work in. So, for example, Kenya has been around for 25 years, and they run consistent local programs that are run entirely by Kenyan volunteers. They run every Saturday, and they do large-scale programs about 4 times a year, and they have about 300 volunteers. And so that's sort of the ultimate to where we want to get to. In Morocco, for example, they have an ongoing cleft care center. And that center provides the continuous speech therapy care, continuous dental care, the continuous child life therapy care that is so important to making this cleft surgery an overall success. So our ultimate goal is, for now, we'll be coming back every 6 months to a year. But over time, as we build more volunteers, build more partnerships, we will create something like that, something sustainable, ongoing, and consistent.
So in Kenya and Morocco, how is that funded?
It's funded usually locally or grants. We have amazing international partners, and we always create amazing local partnerships. And that's sort of how it builds. We just get more and more support as people come to believe in the program, like Miss Universe has across the globe, and that's sort of how we create these long-term sustainable programs.
Well, I think we run out to the studio now, and we've actually dealt with the matter as best as we can. It's clear the dates are there for you. July 27th and 28th, if I'm right. Ridge Hospital in Accra is the place for you. If you have cleft issues, palate, or the lip, just march down there in the regions as you've been told. There's a number. I'll give you a final opportunity to mention the number again. 0302, you said 665651. All right, that's it. So 665-651-0302. Just call. Those are for the Ministry of Health. Just come down. As Papa said, if you can come down by yourself, your TNT will be restored to you. As the lawyers say, you'll be restored to the status quo ante. So you don't lose anything, because at the end of the day, the general idea is to make sure that the surgery that you get is absolutely free. Special thanks to Kia Guarino, Programs Manager, Africa, Operation Smile. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
And also to Dr. Papa Pupulampo, dental surgeon, Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
And of course, an avid viewer of PM Express. He tells me.
Yes, I do.
Absolutely. And, from the far end of the table, Yaira Nego is Miss Universe Ghana 2011. Thank you for coming as well.
Yeah.